Hi guys, so I'm back. It's been a little bit. I'm with Maggie, of course. I noticed that you guys like to see her, so I try to incorporate her in as many vlogs as I can while I'm at home. But Happy New Year's, and I hope that your New Year's last night was fabulous. My mom's birthday was actually last night, so we took her out to the keg. So I was kind of a low-key night for me. So we went out to the keg, waited for 2 hours for a table. Actually, no, we didn't. We got lucky. We went there really early thinking we'd have to wait super long. Um, but we ended up getting a table relatively at a good time. She's not as sleepy as she was last time. Um, but yeah, I wanted to do a quick vlog on New Year's resolutions. As you know, January 1st comes around and most people are like, oh, what am I going to change about myself this year? Um, and that's, the one thing I want to state right off the bat is that that's kind of a weird way of looking at it. We always say we want to make some self-improvement or change something in our lifestyle in the new year. And I always kind of have a problem with that just because you should never wait to make improvements on yourself. If you want to do something and if it's that important to you, you should do it right now. It's the same thing as diets, right? People are always like, oh, I'll start on Monday. I'll start on Monday. I'll do it then. Why not now? If it's in the middle of the week, why does it matter? You could start on a Wednesday or you can start on a Friday, It doesn't have to be a Monday. Mondays have become the day of dreading, The thing that you don't want to do is that you kind of set it for that time. And I think that kind of just makes it really negative. So that's one thing I wanted to get off my chest there. I don't know what you think. But in general, with New Year's resolutions, instead of kind of giving you, maybe mine or what I think you should do for, making changes or some suggestions, I kind of want to tackle instead maybe why New Year's resolutions fail. Um, and I think it's kind of the same principles as why any diet fails or when people tend to trying to change their lifestyle. It's kind of the same factors tend to play a role in why they don't tend to stick around. And a lot of people, for example, at the gym are like, oh, the New Year's resolutioners are coming. Oh, they'll be gone in a month. It'll be okay. And unfortunately, that is the case. And now, why do we think this, right? We have this really big excitement or urge to change something about ourselves. And obviously, it seems important at the time, but it doesn't stick. So if something's important, shouldn't it stick? Well, there's a couple reasons that I thought of why New Year's resolutions maybe don't stick around for the long run, and they stay at New Year's resolutions, and they end up dying off before February. So the one big thing, just like any diets, is that you tend to not be specific enough. So instead of saying a New Year's resolution is I want to better myself, or I want to eat healthier, or I'm going to go to the gym, okay? Typical New Year's resolutions. Very, very broad. And now that doesn't really help you, does it? How do you, kind of measure your progress? How do you, know what you need to do, right? You need to be more specific. And yes, I'm pulling out the SMART principles here. The personal trainer in me is bringing those out. And because it is important, you need to kind of specify what you're actually going to do. Like, instead of saying, I'm going to go to the gym, well, how many times are you going to go to the gym? When are you going to go to the gym? When is it going to fit your lifestyle? You have to look at all of these things in order for it to actually be successful. If you don't consider all of these principles or you have no way of measuring it, how are you supposed to know if you're going towards your goal, if you need to maybe change it to make it more realistic or more possible for your life? So it's really important that you kind of set aside some time. If something is really important to you that you'd like to change or modify, you need to sit down and actually need to kind of plan it out. It does help, and essentially when something is new, you can't just kind of go with the flow or else it's not going to work. You need to actually, like anything new, you need to kind of take some time with it and make it important, because if it is important to you, you should take the time out of your life to make sure that it actually, you get the outcome that you like. So that's the first thing, is make sure that it's specific and not too broad. The next thing I kind of want to think of, or I wanted to talk about, was just being realistic. This kind of covers a lot of different things. If you're unrealistic, it means you're setting way too many for yourself. you want to do it too many times, possibly something that just doesn't fit in your life, or is just too big of a goal. Now, perhaps going to the gym all gung-ho like many people do and saying I'm going to go every day of the week is not realistic for someone who is working a 9 to 4 job or a 9 to 5 job. Maybe they're just too tired to start off with that. Like, that's a big commitment right off the bat. If they've never been in a gym before, how do you expect to go 5 times a week? You're going to be exhausted. You need your body to actually build up to that. So to say that you're going to do that right off the bat, obviously it's not going to work because you've never been to a gym, so you have no experience. That's your first problem. The second problem is that you're going way too many times for it to actually benefit you because you'll be so tired that you'll start to hate it. And I'd actually be surprised if you lasted 2 weeks of doing that for all of those above reasons. You wouldn't know what you were doing and you're going to just be too tired and you'd be like, you know what? I hate this. Okay? So, going back to the idea of being realistic, you need to really take in consideration what's going to fit your life. And also know that you can't do everything. You're one person. You might have this great idea to go every day, and yes, some other people do it, such as myself. But I've also been going to the gym for such a long time that, it's not a big deal for me to go every day. And I fit it into my lifestyle in such that it works. Okay? But when you're first starting off, you can't go that many times, or else you will not stick with it. Okay, I'm telling you that right now. Do not try to go every single day when you're first starting. Maybe there might be 1 or 2% of the population that might stick that out. Even I started off at like 3 to 4 times a week, and I've kind of built up as I've gained more experience, and that my passion has grown and I've learned more, and that's kind of how my workouts have evolved and how my time in the gym has evolved. But when you're first starting out, be careful. If you want to stick with it, make sure that you don't overtax yourself. The other one is having too many goals. So sometimes, again, you're only one person, and sometimes having too many goals can be overwhelming such that you can't focus enough on either of them, so then they all end up failing, and then you just feel bad about yourself. And that's not something you want. So instead, pick some things that are really, really important to you. And again, you can have all these goals, but just spread them out throughout the year. They don't have to be all done on January 1st. Again, it's this whole date thing that we associate with changes. It doesn't need to be like that, or September, okay? You can do one in March. Maybe if you accomplish your first goal, then you can then move on and do another goal or add this new piece in March, right? You've given yourself about 2 months. You should be able to, hopefully have made some progress, and maybe then it's been, it's in your lifestyle enough that it wouldn't overwhelm you to add another piece or another goal. So instead of saying, having a short list or a laundry list of New Year's resolutions all in the same time and then trying to somehow fit all of that into your lifestyle, as you can see how that might be a problem, do separation. Okay, so kind of plan out, okay, well, this one's really important to me right now, so I'm going to do that one first, work at that, and once I feel comfortable and I feel like this is now starting to become something of, a habit, then you can start incorporating other things into your lifestyle, because then it wouldn't overwhelm you, and therefore you'd be more likely to succeed than if you were to try to do both at the same time. Okay, they always, there is research saying that we are actually really bad multitaskers. Unless you're an expert at both things, when you're starting off with something new, too much of your processing is going to be stuck on that one thing, or you're going to be sharing, which means that you're only getting half par at both. So what would you rather prefer? That makes no sense. You know what I mean. What would you prefer? To kind of do your best at the first one, get that one down, make your changes, whatever it needs to be. Give yourself enough time to see some changes and to realize whether or not that goal is working for you. If it is, and if you feel comfortable adding something else, then you can add this new thing in later, and then kind of go with that at the same progression. Okay? Again, if it becomes too overwhelming with the two of them, you can always scale back. So Sorry, my screen went off for a second. So moving on from that, again, so that was being realistic. So you want to make sure you're not doing too many things at once, spread them out, and you're also not trying to overwhelm yourself. Okay, these goals need to be realistic, they need to fit in your schedule, and you need to make sure that they are not some crazy, crazy thing. Oh, she's looking for something. Say hello, Maggie. Oh, there she is. And they're not some crazy thing that is for some advanced individual that maybe you should just start off, you need to know that you're a beginner, right? So take off using the beginner pathway, not take off using the advanced pathway. The last thing I wanted to talk about was just the aspect of actually wanting these things. There's a lot of the times what I find is that New Year's resolutions tend to focus around the same thing. So there's a standard list of New Year's resolutions that you tend to see. And it kind of sparks to me whether or not that's actually important for you. So, or whether or not you think that that's just something you should be doing. So, everyone jumps on the I need to eat healthier, so I must go with that as well. That's another reason why something would fail is if you don't actually think it's a priority, or if you don't set it as a priority, meaning it's not that important to you, you're obviously not going to accomplish it. So these goals should really be very important to you. So like I said in one of the previous ones, if it's really important, then take the time to actually think about, okay, what do I really think I need to change, or what things would I like to see different? And make them really personable. That way you can it'll give you some internal incentive to actually do them rather than some superficial, everyone is doing this and maybe then I can, have something to chat about with everyone else. It's not the case. The best goals are the ones that are going to be those that are more specific to you and obviously will benefit your life better. If you think that, exercise or exercising 5 times a week is stupid, but you plan that as your goal, you think you're actually going to stick with that? No. And then again, you're going to get that sense of failure, and that's something that you do not want to get because then you tend to be discouraged for planning any other goal in your life. So you want to avoid that as much as possible. This is why I'm giving you some of these tips or these things to think about when you're making your goals, because that failure, that feeling of failure is something you want to avoid like the plague, because it really, really puts a damper on your ability to really plan anything else out in terms of goals, because you'll be thinking, oh, well, that failed, so I just won't be able to do anything else. Okay, and you make it this universal failure that obviously everything else will go downhill from there. So make sure that it's something you want. It has nothing to do with anyone else around you. You don't compare yourself to anyone else's goals. And don't feel pressure to have, New Year's resolutions. Maybe you don't even have any, okay? It's if you actually have to stop and really think about it, and there's not something that's jumping out at you being like, I need to change this right now, right? Then maybe it's not your time. Maybe there's nothing really sticking out in your mind that you feel needs to be changed. So don't worry about it. You don't need to have changes just on this date, like I've mentioned many times already in this video. Right? There's all these days in the year that you can make a change. It doesn't have to be a Monday. It doesn't have to be January 1st. And it doesn't have to be the first week in September. It can be any time you'd like. Any day, any hour. That's it. So make your changes as you see fit and that kind of go along with what you feel is important. So just to do a brief recap, I'm trying, like I said before, to really kind of make these more harmonious rather than me trailing off. So to kind of conclude, make sure that if you have a New Year's resolution, if something was really sticking out to you that you'd like to change, make sure that you take the time to make it specific so that you have ways to measure it, have ways to see your progression, and to really narrow down what in that particular broad topic you'd like to change and apply to your lifestyle. Make sure that it's realistic. Okay, does it fit in your schedule? Is it something you like? Is it something that you can actually see yourself doing? And also make sure that you're not overtaxing yourself. And make sure that you also don't have too many goals going at the same time. And the last thing is make sure it's actually something that's important to you. Make sure that it's something relevant to your life and not something that you feel is relevant to everyone's life and that you should just jump on the bandwagon because everyone's doing that. Not necessarily the case. All right, so that is the end of this post, and Maggie and I are going to sign off because it's been 15 minutes, and I'm sure that you guys are getting too antsy already. But I hope that you enjoyed this post, and please comment in the comment section below, and I actually will post some of my New Year's resolutions in the post that I write on my blog that's going to be associated with this video. So, signing off, and obviously, oh sorry, I just disturbed her. Maggie says bye. Bye guys. Mwah. Bye. I'll talk to you later.